Hi everybody, my name is Morgan Zeleny. I'm an education specialist at Rookery Bay National Estuarine Research Reserve. I'm here in our Environmental Learning Center and I'm with our map. So this is one of the really important exhibits that we like to interact with guests at and tell them a little bit more about us. So the map behind me is really detailed, but let's talk in general about where we're looking. So Rookery Bay National Estuarine Research Reserve is a partnership between NOAA, the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration, and the Florida Department of Environmental Protection. You can see their logos on the bottom left corner. The reserve boundaries start just south of Gordon's Pass in downtown Naples. We come down around Key Wayden Island. We keep heading south around Marco Island, go into the Gulf of Mexico, around what we call the Cape Romano Complex, and we shoot east where we border the Everglades National Park. 110,000 acres of submerged aquatic habitat and some coastal uplands are protected within this yellow border. During your time at our Environmental Learning Center, some guests might be asking you some really cool ways to explore this unique coastal environment. Well, we have some tips for you. Starting right where we are now, this yellow star. We're at our Environmental Learning Center right off of Tower Road, off of Collier Boulevard. So we have a nice 2-floor exhibit hall, aquariums, we have an estuarine encounter touch tank, and a whole host of great things that the family can enjoy. So hopefully you interact with them here before you see them out in the reserve at other places. Then if you were to head south on Collier Boulevard, you might find yourself going down Shell Island Road. A great stopover point there is the Briggs Boardwalk. It's a great boardwalk trail that takes you through a variety of upland scrub habitats. It's really beautiful. Keep going down the road though, you might find the Rookery Bay original headquarters and field station. A little inconspicuous, but that's where our boat eco-tours leave from. If you head down to the very end of the road, there is in fact a public launch, which some folks have used, I'm sure, and our kayak tours of a variety of kinds will leave from that launch as well. There is a small, short trail at the very end of that kayak launch called Monument Trail, leading you to a nice fishing spot at the end. If you keep heading south though, you might find yourself passing Isles of Capri. Just on the right-hand side as you turn down Isle of Capri Boulevard, there is a paddlecraft park, which a lot of our eco-tour kayak adventures leave from. If you were to pass through Marco Island in your travels in Southwest Florida, you could find yourself on San Marco Road. And if you find yourself going to Goodland though, that's where we have a brand new dormitory where we have a lot of great visiting scientists and interns living and enjoying. If you are a boater, which we are a boating community here in Southwest Florida, you might also find yourself exploring, or maybe some of our guests have even been there, to some of our barrier islands, only accessible by boat. Key Wayden Island is one of the most popular, especially the southern tip, but then of course, anywhere where you find natural white sand beaches is truly a hotspot. As a part of the NERS system, here at Rookery Bay, we are participating in a whole host of different long-term monitoring, in addition to the estuarine education, coastal training, and resource management that we do here at the reserve. So a few spots on this map that I want to highlight that really emphasizes that long-term monitoring begins right in the heart of this entire estuarine research reserve, and that is Rookery Bay proper. This bay right here is the original bay that gives this entire reserve its namesake, but long-term monitoring has been going on there since the inception of this amazing place. Next, if you come down to Key Wayden Island, we talked a little bit about it in the previous segment. This is a great place for recreation, but also critical wildlife habitat for our nesting sea turtles during the summer that are monitored by our partner organization, the Conservancy of Southwest Florida. But our long-term bird monitoring does occur here as well. If you've ever found yourself on Marco Island, you might have seen one of our critical wildlife areas just off to the left if you're heading south, called the ABC Islands. These are very popular bird monitoring spots that we've been looking after for quite some time. If you keep going south past Marco Island, I want to bring your attention to this complex here. We call this the Cape Romano Complex. And again, bird is the word here in Rookery Bay, that's how we got our name. But here in the summertime from May through October, this is really where we focus on our sea turtle monitoring. You might not be able to see it on your screen here at home, but this little sand spit just to the south of the Cape Romano complex is what we call Second Chance. Second Chance is a seasonal critical wildlife area from just around March to October. and it is closed through that time to protect the beach nesting shorebirds. Heading into the beginning of the 10,000 islands here, these 3 bays are the primary focus for our fisheries monitoring program, which includes a trawl assessment program looking at juvenile fish, but then we also have a shark assessment program looking at juvenile sharks. All across the reserve here, I want to point out that the water is the baseline or the lifeblood of everything that goes on here. It really tells us the story. And one of our most significant and important long-term monitoring programs is the System-Wide Monitoring Program, or SWAMP as we call it. Every NER across the country has to do the SWAMP program because, like I said, the water is most important. We have data sondes dispersed throughout the reserve, 5 to be exact, that are collecting water quality data that is processed by our staff here and then shared out with the NOAA network. Lastly, I want to highlight some additional features that surround this estuarine research reserve. That way you and your guests who are listening to your talk can be oriented as to where they are right now, other than just at our Environmental Learning Center. So for reference, at the very tippy top of this map, you might not even be able to see it, we have 75 heading east. It's labeled, so you'll be okay if you're here at the Learning Center. This is downtown Naples, South Naples we like to call it. Coming down diagonally, this is US 41. Heading north-south, this is Collier Boulevard. This intersection is the one that everyone really has to pass through to get to us, which is kind of a nice point of reference as well. You can ask where folks have come from today. Again, following 951, let's talk about some other places that can give you some orientation to this reserve. Some additional places. We have Isles of Capri here off of 951. We have the Marco Island Airport. Of course, Marco Island here. Additionally, along 41 as we move east, we have some agricultural area and of course some residential area as well. Moving along 41 still, this is Port of the Islands. And really this single canal connects to the Picayune Strand State Forest. If we keep going, this is where we'll end up at Everglades City here, and all the way down at the very bottom, Chokoloskee. And then if you were to turn left off of 41, just before this map ends, you'd head up north, State Route 29. We touched on a lot of different points today on this map here at the Environmental Learning Center, and we really just skimmed the surface. If this is something that interests you and you'd like to learn more, we encourage you to stay involved, keep exploring, but come here to the Learning Center, and we recommend that you shadow, whether it be a staff member or another volunteer who's had a little bit more time working with this map. That way you can learn and then eventually share with our guests.